we talked about crying, right? We're learning the halachas of Rosh Hashanah when we get around to them.
You filter fish and you want to use chrein. Say, don't use chrein.
No, why not?
Yeah,
why not?
No, that's
There's no problem with using spicy foods on Rosh Hashanah. There's no problem eating spicy food. It's just that there's a custom to dip your challah into something sweet. That's all, right? That's don't if you like to eat chrein with your gefilte fish, for sure you can do that. My father used to say that gefilte fish was invented just to have chrein with it. What's going to be with davening on Rosh Hashanah with regards to Kriyat Torah, with regards to reading of the Torah? So there are going to be 5 aliyot. And then there'll be the mafta, the haftorah, right? It's interesting the way these things work, which means like this, that on a regular day, on Monday and Thursday, we call up 3 people, right? On Rosh Chodesh, we call up 4 people. On Rosh Hashanah, we call up 5 people. On Yom Tov, including Yom Kippur, we call up 6 people. And on Shabbat, we call up 7 people, right? It's an interesting progression. You may have noticed there's like a little pattern unfolding over there. One of these complicated... Pardon?
One extra person getting added.
Oh, you found it. Wow.
Ding, ding, ding.
Good for you.
3 is on Monday.
3 is on Monday and Thursday. Oh, and on Shabbat Mincha as well. 3 people are called up to the Torah at Mincha time on Shabbat. 4 people are called up on Rosh Chodesh. 5 people are called up on Rosh Hashanah. 6 people are called up on Yom Kippur. And 7 people are called up on Shabbat. And interestingly enough, there is an Indian inside of the halacha. It says that a person should try to have an aliyah towards the beginning of the year, Rosh Hashanah, or right at the beginning of the year at some point. It's considered to be a recommended thing to do. Right? The chances, whilst you're in yeshiva, so the chance of getting an aliyah are probably pretty slim, I would have thought. Just like me.
Thing is Mafti Yoini.
Not really.
Oh, Mafti Yon on Yom Kippur is a big thing. And like Ne'ilah, what? Okay, let's have a look. The central part of davening on Rosh Hashanah, of course, is Tkiyah Shofar, blowing the shofar. We'll have a look and see what it is that we're blowing over here. The shofar should be made from a ram's horn, and it should come from a male. And it commemorates, of course, what was done at the Akedah. What is the Akedah? When Avram Avinu took his son Yitzchak and wanted to offer him up on the altar, and he wasn't able to do it. God told him not to do it, but God sent in his stead a ram, and we blow the ram's horn in order to commemorate part of the Akedah. Interestingly enough, we're taught that in Mitzvah Hashem, the Mashiach, he should come very, very soon. His entry into Yerushalayim will be heralded with a shofar being blown from that original ram that was offered up by Avram Avinu.
So, it's the horn of a ram, nothing else.
Well, yes and no. Which means like this. You can't have a cow's horn, right? You know why you can't have a cow's horn?
It's not soft or something.
It's solid.
Yeah, it's solid.
Right? It's solid. Horns are made out of what? Calcium, I imagine, no?
Keratin, I think.
What's it called?
Keratin.
Keratin, I'm sorry, right? Keratin, fingernails, right? They're just glorified fingernails. It's like a hairstyle. Your hair is made out of the same stuff, actually, interesting enough. It's pretty weird, all this stuff, it really is. But cows' horns are solid. Other horns from other animals, they've got this, inside they've got cartilage that can be hollowed out, and that can now be, you go through a whole process that brings it into the shape of a shofar and turns it into something that can be blown, and you can use it. You can really use it from any animal. So, for example, if you go down to the Kotel, you'll see people blowing shofars that are enormous. They're like this long, twisty, right? They're not coming from rams. They're coming from, I think, ibexes. Yeah. Or ibexi. How do you say it? What's the plural of ibex?
I would think ibises.
Ibises? Okay, whatever.
Ibex.
Whatever. ABCs, whatever. They're absolutely, some of these things are absolutely beautiful. They really are. If you take a look at them, they're fantastic. They can be like, this long, and they're polished, and they amongst the Yemenite communities, that's what they use, because they didn't have rams where they lived. They had a lot of these animals wandering around, so they would use those instead. It's lechatchila, it's better to use a ram's horn. The ram's horn is normally a lot shorter than that. It does come in all different kinds of shapes and sizes, that's for sure, right? What have we got over here? The sounds that come out of the shofar should be, it's difficult to explain this properly, but they should be, to fulfill the mitzvah, clear, rich, should have like a deep sound to it. If it doesn't work out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's very difficult to get sounds out of the shofar. We spoke about this the other week, right? That there's no rhyme or reason to this. Yesterday it was easy to blow, and today it's difficult to blow. Why is that? I don't know, right? They're very temperamental things. Yeah.
I have a question. Why are we allowed to sleep on Rosh Hashanah?
Why are you allowed to sleep
Allowed
on?
to sleep.
Why are you not? Oh, why are you not supposed to? Oh, I never explained it. That's right. Why are you not supposed to sleep on Rosh Hashanah? Because it's Yom Adin. Right, the same way that if you were going into a very, very important court case, right, you wouldn't tell the judge, look, I'm sorry, I have to go take a nap. Just don't do anything. Don't sentence me whilst I'm not around. We want to utilize the day to the best of our ability, and that's really where the custom, I mentioned the custom of reciting the whole of the book of Psalms comes from on Rosh Hashanah. This idea of using your time correctly, using your time properly. I'll tell you something, I'm going to go out on a limb over here, but if it's a choice between having a nap on Rosh Hashanah afternoon or standing outside and schmoozing with friends and perhaps, a person speaking perhaps a little bit of Lashon Hara, it would definitely be better to go take a nap, for sure, right?
You can take a nap in the afternoon, though.
According to the Arizal, you can take a nap in the afternoon, but you are very conveniently forgetting the beginning of what the Arizal was really suggesting, is that the Arizal used to get up to daven nades, where he got up to daven with the sunrise, which means that the Arizal was the opinion that the Ikka judgment is taking place in the morning. And so once you've gone beyond the morning, then at that point it's okay to take a nap because the judge is no longer sitting.
So what
right?
if you wake up later than sunrise?
Yeah, so according to this, I think we have to. I think it makes sense to make a differentiation like this. If you want to sleep in the afternoon, Rosh Hashanah afternoon, that if you follow the custom of the Arizal, which means getting up very early and beginning davening with the sun up, then I think that's okay to do, right? If, on the other hand, though, you're going to get up after the sunrise and you're going to daven in a minyan, it may not be a late minyan, it might be a pretty early minyan. It may start at 6:30 in the morning, right? It may start at 7 o'clock in the morning, but you're not davening with the sunrise anymore. Then at that point, I think it's probably better to try to avoid sleeping in the afternoon. It's interesting, we're taught like this, that if you sleep in the afternoon, then your muzzle will sleep all year, which is, of course, doesn't sound so great, right?
So you can take a nap, like sleep at night, or no?
Yeah, no, for sure. You can go to sleep at night,
okay.
for sure. In fact, it's recommended.
I thought you had to like stay up and learn.
No, I mean, listen, you can stay up and learn as well, but I would imagine that after you've done that, you'll be in no fit state to daven properly the next morning. So for sure, it makes sense to go to sleep at night. That's for sure. And like I said, seriously, if you feel that you are absolutely conking out, if you stay up in the afternoon, then it's going to be very bad for you afterwards. You're not gonna function at all. Then for sure, take a little nap in the afternoon. That's got to be preferable than not functioning at all, right? If it says that you sleep in the afternoon, if you sleep on Rosh Hashanah, then your muzzle sleeps with you. So if you don't function on Rosh Hashanah, I guess that means you won't function for the whole year, which might explain a lot of things over here, right? There you go. So we've got another week and a bit to go to be able to rectify this little problem over here. Okay, what's going to happen is like this. The person who's going to be blowing the shofar is going to go up to begin blowing the shofar. There'll probably be some announcements. One of the announcements is going to be that the brachot, which are going to be recited, are going to be recited for you as well. Right? You're fulfilling your obligation through the person blowing the shofar. What does that mean? It means like this, that when the person reciting the brachot says, Baruch Atah Hashem, you should not say, Baruch Hu uVaruch Shemo.
It's like you're saying the bracha yourself. That's
right, which means like this, that he's saying the bracha for you. If you were to be reciting the bracha, you wouldn't say Baruch Hu uVaruch Shemo.
What if, secondly, you say it?
So it's a little bit of a problem, because if you say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemai, it's as if you've made an interruption inside of the bracha. It's as if he's not making that bracha for you anymore. The problem is that you have an obligation to hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah with the brachas that come before it. So you need to concentrate and not to say it.
Say amen either.
You can say amen, right? You can say amen to a bracha. In fact, you're obligated to say amen to the bracha, right? Because he's making the bracha for you. He's going to make two brachas. The first bracha is going to be the bracha over the shofar. The second bracha is going to be the bracha of Shechianu v'kiyimanu v'gianu lazman hazeh. Because, why?
Because we didn't do it all year.
Because it's a brand new mitzvah that we have not fulfilled all year. You're going to say, what about in Elul, where they blow the shofar in the morning, every morning? By the Sfadim, do they do that?
No.
By the Sfadim?
No.
You don't blow the shofar in the morning? No. Okay. But by the Ashkenazim, we blow the shofar every morning, but it's not an obligation, and it's not a mitzvah, and therefore, when we come to make the bracha over to Kiyah Shofar on Rosh Hashanah, we're going to say it together with a Shechianu. Okay? So, the bracha is going to be recited, and you're going to answer Amen, but you are not going to say Baruch Hu uVaruch Shamoy. In Ashkenazi communities, there is a custom before the brachot are recited that everybody recites a chapter of Tehillim, Lam Natzech Mizmor Livnei Korach, which is recited 7 times. Okay, just so you should know, you do it, you don't do it, you don't do it. You just need to know what's going on, right? You'll hear a lot of buzzing going on. It's right before the Tekiyah Shofar. It's all very exciting, right? And you hear a lot of people will be reciting the Tefillah of Lam Natzech Livnei Bnei Korach 7 times. And you should, if you want, you should do that as well.
Why 7 times?
Why 7 times? 7 times, the number 7 is a natural number. Right? The natural, 7 days of the creation of the world, 7 days of the week. Anything that's got a 7 inside of it normally denotes something which has got a natural dimension to it. The idea of Lam Natzech Mizmor Livnei Korach, the idea of the chapter of the Psalms is that even the children of Korach were able to do tshuva. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Korach, but Korach caused the most incredible rift inside of the Jewish nation. The argument and the schism that almost took place was almost irreparable. And yet even Korach's children were able to do tshuva. They were able to repent and to atone for what they've done, which is good news for us, right? It means that regardless of what we've done throughout the year, we are able to do tshuva, and we're able to atone for what we've done. Not all things that we do are rectifiable. There's a difference between rectification and atonement. So, for example, if somebody kills somebody else, however it's done, whether it's manslaughter, whether it's deliberate, that is something which is not rectifiable. You can't bring the person, can't be brought back to life, but a person can find atonement for what they've done. You hear the difference between the two? I'm desperately scrabbling around over here to try to get a reaction out of somebody. At this point, any kind of vocal reaction. Thank you.
No. How about car rates?
How about what?
Car rates. Is that rectifiable?
Correct.
Correct.
Karet.
I'm sorry.
I thought you said car raids. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
No, so is that rectifiable?
Interestingly enough, so according to one opinion, karet is excision. There are 3 different levels of karet. Right? Let's take off a moment and just try to understand what karet is. It's a pretty terrible punishment. There are 3 different levels. The first level is that a person dies at an early age, and that early age is normally before the age of 60. Then it's possibly somebody who's been dying through the punishment of karet. Another punishment is that a person may live a long life but doesn't have children. And the third punishment is that a person may live a long life, have lots of children, but when he gets up into the spiritual realms, his soul is disconnected from any kind of spiritual dimension.
Can you repeat the first one again?
The first one is that a person dies at an early age,
So
at a
if you
young
die
age.
At an early age, or you don't have kids. When you go up, does that kind
So
of...
presumably that
Let it
takes
roll?
care of
Yeah.
the karet
Okay.
that the person was supposed to receive. right? So the first one,
Third is the worst.
the third one is absolutely terrible. Why is that? Because the whole concept of going into the world to come into the spiritual realms is in order to receive the reward that you have coming to you. It's true that someone who goes through the process of karet, where his soul is excised, doesn't experience Gehenna, purgatory, right? But they're not experiencing anything. The whole function of purgatory, ultimately, it's good for you, right? Why? It's rectification, which means that a person's got blemishes on his soul that have to be cleansed out, and the only way it can be cleansed is by going through Gehenna, which means that ultimately it's a good thing. It really is, because after Gehenna, the soul can then go into the realms, what's called the Olam and the Shamot, the world of the souls, where the rectified souls are supposed to be. Karet.
There's 36 Isurim that are karet, right?
Yeah. Karet, this ultimate form of karet, is a state of nothingness. There's no pain. There's no joy. There's no nothing. It's just in a state of complete and absolute disconnect, which the rabbis describe as being the most terrible situation to be in.
So a soul would rather be in Genom than in Karet.
Okay, if you want to get Kabbalistic over here, there's one other alternative, which is to come back as a Gilgul. What is a Gilgul? A Gilgul is a reincarnated soul, right? Which means that a soul comes back in somebody else's body and has to rectify in the next life. I don't mean the next life as in the world to come, but in the next life that it's experiencing now, it needs to try to rectify the mistakes that it made. The difference between Gehenum and reincarnation and Gilgul, that both of them have their pluses and both of them have their minuses. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure that a person gets given a choice. Right, that's down to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's going to happen to this soul? Is it going to go through Gehenna, or is it going to go into Gilgul? You should know, though. Strangely enough, this may sound rather odd, but Gehenna, it's a true zechut to be able to go to Gehenna. Right? What is a zechut? It's a merit, right? It's not that everybody goes to Gehenna.
It's a merit.
It's a merit. Your soul has to merit being able to be rectified and cleansed in order to be able to receive Gehenna, in order to be able to go up into the Olam and Shamot.
So Gehenna is hell, right?
Sorry?
Gehenna is hell.
Gehenna itself is pretty bad.
Yeah. So why?
You people are off the hook. You can get upstairs and God's going to say to you, "Did you keep my Torah?" And you'll say no. And he'll say, "Did you keep my mitzvahs?" And you'll say no. And he'll say, "Well, why should I let you?" And you'll say, "Well, I had to sit through Rabbi Lauffer's classes." And God's going to say, "Oh, it was you people, Captain." Come straight in.
What up? So a soul would rather go to Gehenna to get reincarnated?
I think so. Again, paradoxically, going to Gehenna, however difficult, however incredibly painful it is, it's a one-off experience, and it takes care of everything, right? Which means that you've got a soul that's got all kinds of blemishes. It's a finite sentence. You're there for however you're there.
No, I thought you were like once you're there,
Eternal damnation, even though there are certain dimensions of eternal damnation. Thank you. Eternal damnation inside of Judaism. The concept of eternal damnation is really more of a Christian concept. There's a very early. You want to hear something fascinating?
I guess
I'm
will.
going to tell you anyway, right?
Yeah,
So you may as well say yes. There's a very early authority called Rav Yosef Albo. Rav Yosef Albo wrote a sefer called Sefer HaIkrim, and he writes over there a fascinating thing. He says one of the differentiations between Judaism and Christianity. If I say to you hell, what's the first thing that crops into your mind? The first thing that pops into your mind? Fire, right? If I tell you Gehenna, what pops into your mind? Fire, mostly, right? I mean, it's fire and fire. What's the difference between the two? It explains Rav Yosef Albo the most astonishing idea. Christianity believes in the concept of eternal damnation, right? So you go down into hell, and hell has got a whole bunch of, cloven-hoofed people running around with tridents, poking you in rather tender parts of your body. Now, if you're English, you probably look forward to this, right? But for everybody else, that's considered to be hell. And according to Christian theology, you're down there forever. If you don't repent before you die, then you're in hell forever. Explains Rav Yosef Albo, the fire of hell is external fire. It's there to make life very, very uncomfortable for you, but it's not there in order to burn anything out. It's not there in order to help the soul reach some kind of a rectification. The fire of Gehenna is internal fire. Explain the sages that when a person goes to Gehenna, what does it mean? He's met with two screens. One screen has got a picture of what he was supposed to have done in this world, and the other one shows the pictures of what he did in this world, and he's so consumed with embarrassment that the fire, it's an internal fire that burns out all of those impurities. Says Rabbi Yosef Albo, it's the most astonishing idea. The external fire of hell is not something which is going to elevate and cleanse. It's just there to cause you discomfort. Whereas the internal fire of Gehenna is a fire which will cleanse you, ultimately cleanse you, and elevate you and allow you to move into a better place, which is the Olam HaNeshamot.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, but like I said, you just got to turn up over there and say that you weren't here. And
What about the resurrection that you come back as a dog, which is a dog is very...
the Chofetz Chaim writes, it's true that being reincarnated, sometimes a soul can be reincarnated inside of an animal. Says the Chofetz Chaim, that is the worst kind of thing to have to experience, because the animal is perfectly aware, the soul is perfectly aware of what needs to be rectified. When the soul comes back inside of another person, so the soul is not able to know what it is, although we are taught by the Rabbi something very fascinating, that the things that you battle the most with in your life, right, the difficult things, the spiritual dimensions that you battle the most with are the things that need to be rectified from previous lives over here. Right, so a person's got a particular weakness for a particular thing, right? That's something, it's not coming out of nowhere. That thing is presumably what was the original problem to begin with in a previous carnation, and now it's got to be dealt with inside of this one instead. Right, so for example, I imagine many of you are probably here as reincarnated souls of people that had difficulty concentrating during Shir, right? So, you know...
I fall out of that group. Totally aware of what's going on.
That's rectification for the last time we were.
We gotta fix it.
Good, well at least he's doing something about it.
So a dog knows what's going on or what it needs to.
A dog knows what needs
Just
to
a
be
dog.
fixed. Yeah, no, animals. Yeah, I tell you, most of,
They know what they have, what they were
Here.
sending down here to
You
fix.
want to hear an astonishing story?
Okay.
You're going to hear it anyway, right? So good. This is a story that was recorded by somebody called Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld.
Okay.
Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld was one of the great rabbis of 100 years ago. He ended up over here in Yerushalayim. He was a rabbi of Yerushalayim, but before that he lived in Brisk. And somebody came to him, the most astonishing story, somebody came to him and told him that he'd had a dream from his father. His father had died, and his father came to him in a dream, and he told him that he'd been reincarnated inside of an enormous black bull.
His father was.
Yeah. And the father told the son that he has to go. He told him that the bull was owned by a non-Jew, and he had to go. This bull was out of control. It was completely wild, right? And his father told him, you have to go. You have to offer him, you tell him you'll buy the bull. You want to buy the bull from him. He'll ask for 80, I don't know what you know, like florins, whatever it was that they used at that time over there. He asked for 80, whatever it is, right? But he's prepared to take 40. Just offer him 40 and he'll be so pleased to get rid of it, he'll let you take the bull. He says once you've got the bull, you have to bring it back to Brisk, which is a city that he lived in, and you have to bring it to the local shoichet, to the slaughterer, the ritual slaughterer, slaughter the bull, and give the meat out to all of the poor people in the city.
Jews, it doesn't matter.
Jews,
Okay.
right? So he said that so the son had this dream, he didn't pay any attention to it. Then he had the dream again, didn't pay any attention. By the third time, he went to Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld and he said to him, What do I do? So Yosef Chaim Sonnensfeld says, well, do exactly what your father told you to do. That's what you need to do. So he goes and he finds his farm, exactly where his father said it was. And he goes in and there is this bull, psycho bull in the middle of this field that's bucking and going nuts anytime anyone goes near it. And he goes up to the non-Jewish owner. He says, I want to buy the bull. So the guy says, give me 80 whatever, florins, whatever it is, and you can have it, it's yours. So he looks, he says, no, this bull's my sugar, right? I'll give you 40. So the non-Jew says, okay, it's a deal. So he gives him the 40, whatever it is, and he walks into this field, and all of a sudden the bull is as docile as can be. And he puts a harness on it, and he leads it away, and like everyone's like, oh, this bull has been going nuts, right? And he brought it to Brisk, and they slaughtered it, and they gave the meat out to the poor people in the city, and he never heard from his father again. What's pshat? I don't know, right? I can't tell you what the father did that meant that he had to come back in the way that he came back. The only thing that's for sure is that the rectification came through the ritual slaughtering, presumably the blessing made over the slaughtering, and the fact that the meat was given out to the poor people. That's what led to the rectification of that particular soul. Do we understand it? We don't understand,
like
right?
Michael Vick, he'll come back as a dog.
Huh?
Michael Vick,
You don't
football player. He was bad to dogs. He'll come back as a dog.
Maybe. Maybe.
Is that how it works?
I don't know. Possibly.
You don't know what other good stuff.
Again, I mean, what's the problem? The problem over here is this stuff is very, very esoteric, right? It's very Kabbalistic, and you're a little bit restricted. Like you sort of can't go up to your, the dog and say, "Okay, what did you
Tell me
do?"
the secrets.
Talk to me, tell me.
No, learn more
So how long have you been feeling like this? Huh?
Fine, I'll just give him a spread it down.
You know what? Yeah, give him an
more
iPad
skills.
or something, and just have him record
My
his.
dogs eat homework. They hated homework when they were here. So somebody they see
They're
it.
taking their
Maybe.
revenge.
Maybe I don't know. How did we get onto this? I can't remember. Karet.
Yeah.
Karet. Oh, can you do tshuva for karet?
Yeah.
According to the sages, yes, you can. Even
What
though
is the third thing you
the
said?
third thing is excision. Your soul is completely
No, you
detached.
said it's kids, can't have kids,
Dying early,
dying early,
not having children, and having your soul being completely
Like
disconnected.
having a normal life, but then going up there and
Right?
so
Which means a
low.
person could live over here a long, healthy, successful life
with kids and everything.
with everything, right? And then get upstairs and find out that there's absolutely nothing there.
wow.
So
which
even
is,
in Gehenom, you can't. There's nothing you can do.
Gehenom, interestingly enough, can you do something in Gehenom? The soul itself can't do anything.
Not do it like.
But the people left behind,
You pray.
they can. Which means that it's possible for the people left behind to elevate the soul and to help the soul go through the difficulties of Gehenna, perhaps even to shorten the amount of time it needs to be in Gehenna according to what they do. Which means that if they make brachot and people answer amen, there's a custom that when a person's in year of mourning, so very often if there's no other obligation over there, he'll be given maftir on Shabbat. Right? Why is that? Because the Haftarah has got brachot that are recited before and afterwards. All amens that are answered to brachot that are recited by mourners helps the soul somehow. That's one of the reasons why mourners have the custom to be the shaliach tzibur, to lead the davening. Because when they come to repeat the Amidah, there's lots of brachot over there. Everyone's answering amen.
Do they talk about how the soul looks like without the body? What is the soul?
I don't know. Not that I don't
Ever watch
really dabble
Just like that.
in these. I don't, obviously I know. Obviously I do, right? But I can't tell you. You're too puny.
I heard it's like our body, our figure that we are right now.
I have a beautiful soul then.
Well, I have a well-rounded one. Even though it says that a person who's had karet decreed upon them, can they undo the decree? Yes, they can. It's a lot of work. Tshuva, right? It's a lot of work, right? But in Mitzvah Hashem,
Vidui.
I think the pshat is like this: that when a person learns the dimensions of karet
They know what they
right?
did.
What they are, and the person knows what they've done. It's interesting that karet. It's not. For example, a person transgresses Shabbat, so they get karet. It doesn't work like that. It's not that simple. Bless you.
They have
If a
to,
person eats on Yom Kippur and they know that they're not supposed to eat, and they eat on Yom Kippur, that's considered to be a punishment of karet, right?
Well,
Is
what
it
if you're-
possible
what if
to
you're
undo
getting
that?
sick?
Huh?
What
Oh,
if-
that's
Well, no, that's
no,
That's
that-
different. Oh,
that's
okay,
completely
okay.
different. Which means
Okay.
like this: the same way that it's a mitzvah for you not to eat on Yom Kippur, it's a mitzvah for somebody who's sick to eat on Yom Kippur.
Yeah, because like in Phoenix, a lot of people drink water. Because like when they're getting lightheaded, especially, 'cause it's hot,
Yeah, it's-
and they drink a little bit
Yeah,
more.
listen, so long as whatever they're doing under rabbinical supervision, it's great, it's fine, right? But in general, you've got people.
No, the rabbi didn't say okay. They just.
But you've got people who have to eat.
Okay.
They're not well. They've got to take medication. If they don't eat, it's going to make things even worse, right? Unfortunately, there are lots of illnesses like that.
Well, you've got your people who are sick, and then you've got the people who can marathon fast. But somewhere in the middle, there are the people who could fast without any real detriment to their health, but it's just so uncomfortable by the end of it.
Yeah, that's okay. Nothing wrong with being uncomfortable every now and then. You know, that's a famous joke. Maybe we'll end with this ridiculous Jewish joke, right? About the fellow who has a heart attack, and he's brought into hospital, and they do all of the stuff that needs to be done for him, and he's lying on the bed, and the nurse comes along and says to him, well, Mr. Schwartz, she says, are you comfortable? He says, well, I make a living. Good. Well, stuff over here. Mitzvah Hashem. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about the shofar and
You're afraid of
Rosh Hashanah.
Rabbi.